And I think we are live. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. This time my whole good afternoon, good evening, it's even longer because it's good night, almost midnight here, and 10 p.m. In Singapore, where I'm this time. I also have Timea that is there. We also have Sarah and Sabine in the middle, a bit like Europe and Africa time zones, and we also have Melissa representing the Americas, the whole time zone coverage here. I mean, it's good that we don't have literally the extreme someone like in Hawaii and someone even more Eastern than us, because then it would be even harder to have this. Thanks so much, ladies, for accepting this invitation, for joining me to have a chat about women in engineering, especially on leadership. And I will be the first to say that this is not more work for you, because we don't want this month to celebrate women with more work. So this is a promise to the audience that I hope you do get this time from work and not do extra. But it did hit a lot because, a spoiler alert, we plan to do an episode on leadership at ILF with Sabine and Alex. Alex is now in vacation, that's why he's not here. The partner in crime as co-host for this took a bit of time off, which was intended and planned. He's okay. Hopefully he's watching this. If not, oh, you're gonna hear us. And that was an episode on leadership. And then I looked around, and in our meetings for engineering manager calls, I was like, well, the ladies are well represented. Why not do this episode on leadership with my fellow women in engineering that we have here at LLF? And this is a special episode from Off the Ledger, the series that we do about our technical projects here in Interledger Foundation, where we take one of it and we dissect them a bit, or we launch a bit of the new feature, we discuss, or sometimes we do funnier episodes like the wrap ups, where we had it a day and we mentioned everything that happened. And one special with Timeya and the day that took like almost 2 hours. I had to cut them off, like literally director cut. I was like, kids are screaming behind you, people, you have to go and feed, your families and everything. Um, so yeah, a special episode on women in engineering in this special month. So without further ado, I do invite you to just describe a bit your role, and if you want to say how long you're or what's your team here at the Interledger Foundation, we'd love to hear your presentation. I'll just start from my screen and I'll invite Tinea, and after that she can pick who's next and all that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Joanna. Hello, everyone. So I'm 4 years working for Interledger Foundation as an engineering manager. 4 wonderful years leading amazing team of integrations and integrating Rafiki and open payments.
Great. Sarah, you're, I think, the youngest or the latest addition in the engineering manager, and I'm happy we didn't scare you to run away already.
Yet, didn't scare me yet.
Hey,
I've been I've been at Interledger for 2 years now. So started at the Rafiki team and then working on front end, and then yes, like you said, just recently moved over into engineering management as of November last year or something. Yeah.
still going strong. That's good. Melissa?
Hey, I've been with ILF for almost 3 years now, though it feels like so much longer, thanks to Coil. Not the work, thanks to Coil. I joined as one of 2 tech writers. Now there are 3 of us, so I moved into a management role, still also do quite a bit of tech writing, which is what I was hesitant about first, like making the move, because I still love writing and I'm still able to do a lot of that. So.
And least but not last, Sabine, welcome back.
Thank you very much. So I am Sabina. I moved to ILF from Coil, just like Melissa, and like similar journey, was very hesitant to lead at first. I came as, well, I think I actually started as the tech lead, but I was like, I'm just going to lead the tech, right? Like, not people, please. I want to do tech. Let me do tech. And then Alex was very convincing and made me an engineering manager after a while. I don't even remember when that happened. At some point it happened. So I was managing the Rafiki team. And then I was out on maternity leave, and I came back and I was promoted to director of engineering. So now I'm leading even more teams and not doing any code anymore. And actually, it's okay. Like, I'm pleasantly surprised that managing people and leading people is also very exciting and fulfilling. So I'm happy to do this now. And I would like to say do coding as a side project, but I have kids as a side project, but they will grow up. So at some point I'll be able to do coding as a side project again.
It will be back. Yeah, it will be back. But I think two things that I really realized while you were presenting yourself, that all of you have been here before in a way or another, because I think with Sabina, we had the first one where we did the universe of ILF, and after that, we had one episode on open payments where Sarah was there. We had an episode on tag writing, and Melissa was there, and Timea also celebrated with us, I think, in the first year, the first episode going December. So thank you for coming back again. I'm happy I didn't scare you off with this. This is my side project in ILF, besides managing teams. I was like, why not do some interview? And our very famous CTO by now, he said, like, well, you can do it. And I was like, oh, yes, I should not promote stuff because I have to do them afterwards. And the second thing that I noticed is that indeed, I think none of us here, or at least, well, I joined directly as an engineer manager. All of you grew from one role to another into more management because you were doing leading and everything, but none of you literally came and said like, yes, I want to do this. And all of you were like, yes, I can, okay, I'll do it, but I still want to do my tech side of it. Or we were a bit like, and that's why also when I transition, I always said I need to do a bit more on the coding, or I still want not to be detached. Unfortunately, it's not the case now because we have too many people and I have 3 teams, but we are still a bit there. We also feel, I remember Timea at the beginning, we were even discussing the debate what titles to put. And we discussed this today too on there. So it's funny to see similarities like this, but all of you stepped in and led the teams. And Sabina led now the whole engineering teams. Really, really good. So really, really inspiring also.
Yes, I started with the title of front-end engineer and front-end developer and engineering manager. Then I switched.
She needed like
engineering
3
manager
lines to describe her role.
front-end developer, and then I got off the front-end developer. And so I'm
It was
just
like a band-aid, It took a bit, it hurt to take it off, but after that, he was like, okay, I'm fine. I'm still fine. I think that's also with everything in the code. I was like, I'm gonna miss the coding. I'm like, okay, I'm surviving. I think it's fine. I see a smile there, so good.
all doses, it still comes back, so it's fine.
Yes. Well, I still believe that any of you here still writes better code than Alex when he was asked not to code anymore by Max. So I think you're doing well. Don't worry about that. So maybe, maybe this episode will be cut off. Who knows? But I think he's in vacation. But were you thinking of yourself always as in a leading role, or did you imagine that you will be a face representing engineering leadership?
I mean, for myself, I feel like I told my previous self that I was never going to get into tech, and I was definitely never going to get into management. So I'm I'm losing on both counts.
Double strike, yeah, double strike.
But I feel I've kind of approached my career with a very open mind of seeing how things go, and so everything just kind of you work hard and you do what's in front of you and you take the next step, and then things change. And when you start working with things, when I started studying computer science, which also felt like it just kind of happened because I was actually trying to study math, and then it rerouted a little. And then I realized I actually really enjoyed it. So like with the management as well, I think it sounds really intimidating sometimes to deal with potentially awkward situations or, just like all the human dynamics. But I did find, honestly, being a mom made me so much more open to that, because I feel like it's a lot of management training all the time, and like communication and patience and like very clear communication and setting boundaries, but setting them positively, and like, always thinking like, what can we learn from this and how can we improve this, and like, what are the growth things, I mean, it's exactly the same. So it honestly felt like it made me much more open-minded towards management.
Very, very spot on. I do kind of the opposite whenever I have to, attend someone helping with the kid or spend time with my niece. Everything that I learned, like in management, that you need to have patience, you need to explain clearly, or change your language if you're discussing with a developer versus a product person. This is also, I'm going with my niece. She's 8, 9, so I'm like, okay, she might not know these words, so I need to, change. And the same, whatever I find there, like people are playful here, they need to be motivated but not, pushed away. You need to teach them something, to be there for them when they are falling. So it's a very good balance without making anyone childish or anything, but it's a very good balance that we are managing expectation, and we manage someone towards a better, happiness or better resulted product. So it does help. And I'm glad that it took the fear away that is not for you or that you cannot do it, because I do believe like life gives us way more challenging situation that work sometimes. So yeah, it's a good.
It's also the mom training, because kids love to embarrass you in public, and I always thought like, I don't know how I'm going to deal with it, and then you're like, oh, you just do, because it's actually just life, and
That's
it helped.
yeah,
It helped with that.
that's a really good one. I never thought of that, but you're right, because you're like, they will do something, you have to like, it's fine, I'm gonna survive this too. This is my running joke where people are like, oh, you're going and speak on stages, you're so brave, or like you're very extroverted. I'm like, no, I just hope I didn't hear anyone dying on the stage, like going and speaking. I'm like, it's not gonna happen to me. Like, worst case, I'm gonna mumble a bit, everyone will be happy laughing or do them, it's fine, I'm gonna survive this. Yeah, it's easier sometimes saying than done for other people, but this is really what I'm encouraging. Like, everything done fine. Also, it will pass, and all good back then. Yeah, yeah. And I see everyone smiling, everyone encouraging that. Do you feel like then you belonged in this without? Because I felt like all of your roles were like embracing an existent role that you were doing in a way. You just had to accept, yes, at this moment in time, it's also for management, and I'll just embrace it. So it was more a belonging, accepting, or you still had hesitation?
I mean, I think my imposter syndrome is my biggest kind of Achilles heel with work always. So I don't know if I ever feel like I quite meet the bar. So that's sort of
Hmm.
my demon. But I am enjoying it. So let's phrase it that way. But I mean, obviously there's a lot to learn, and the good side about the Achilles heel of, imposter syndrome is it does come with like a real intent to keep learning and keep improving. And I think, that's a skill too.
Green,
So well
green.
put, Sarah. I have the same thing. Imposter syndrome is always there. And then like whatever I do in the end, I'm like, it was like, it actually wasn't that hard, and I actually can do this. And that like, I always gain like a little like grain of salt of confidence with everything I do. And that helps. Like,
Mm.
I think it's also worth mentioning, especially for those new to all this imposter syndrome, that indeed it affects more women than men, especially in tech. But it's not only coming because we don't see many of us in this role, but it's also, I think we tend to be a bit more perfectionist. We tend to be a bit more, challenging to ourselves. And there are a lot of studies that do also mention that a man will apply to a job even if he checks 1 out of 5 things. Like, yeah, it's fine, I'm gonna deal with that. While the women will be like, oh, I'm only 4 out of 5. I might not apply because he's not a perfection star. So there are a lot of sides to imposter syndrome, not only, the representation part that, yeah, I had to struggle to accept sometimes literally better done than perfect. And I was like, no, it's a hard lesson for me.
Yes, you were mentioning representation. I remember, so Interledger Foundation is my fourth job, and the first two jobs didn't really have good role models. So I was a lot of times alone in the room as a
Mm-hmm.
female. I didn't have anyone to look up to. Then in my third job, I was quite lucky to have even two really good role models in project managers, and they actually encouraged me to maybe in my future look ahead and trying a tech lead, a team lead, or an engineering management role. And then with the fourth job with Interledger Foundation, I actually got to work even closely with my third job's one of the role models, and she was very encouraging throughout my process of being and developing myself to being an engineering manager, because I was, again, of course, imposter syndrome, a little bit anxious at the beginning, but she never thought that there's something I couldn't do. So with her confidence and my willing also to try new things, I kind of grew into the role, and I'm happy I did. So I have a lot to thank the role models. So it's so important that everyone who is in tech as a woman, as a female, or as a girl, because young girls also start out, they should seek out and like learn from these role models, because who knows what the future brings. And it's so important, really. For me, it was important, and it really helped my career.
Very good mentioning mentors. I want to ask also the rest if they had mentors or people that they role models that they look up to and inspire them. And third, if they are mentors at this point or they feel they are mentors without being shy and don't put yourself down.
I think I've had mentors, but not realized that they were mentoring until after I'd left the job, which is kind of nice and tricky. It's like it
Yeah.
doesn't feel like it just feels like they're your friend. Same thing
Mm-hmm.
with not just mentoring, but like managers, leaders, other things. You kind of you go with it because it feels right, and then later you look back at it and you're like, oh, I actually learned a lot about
Mm-hmm.
how to manage other people and how to manage work, just because that was the environment that I was encouraged to grow in. So
Mm-hmm.
I've had that a number of times.
Good. Sarah, for you?
I mean, I think I learned a lot about like good project management from Sabina. So, because I mean, at Coil, I was very much on my own mission with the WordPress plugin for a long time, and that was good. And it was like I really enjoy the autonomy, but it would have definitely led to like very bad habits when it's just you and your own little ecosystem, And that's fine when you're just in an ecosystem of one. But as soon as you're actually part of a team and you need to make sure that anyone can pick up the code and the tasks and understand where things are and like prioritizing things, and my other constant struggle, like estimating how long things take. And yeah, it was nice to like be part of a team that had that kind of structure. I felt like I learned a lot from that.
Yeah, you mentioned
Sabine,
when
go ahead.
I joined Interledger Foundation, also here there are so many strong women in the team. We are here, five of us, but there are so many more with strong characters, and like when they come into a room, everyone's like, "Oh, she's arrived," So we
Yeah.
are very lucky to have this environment, because they are not here, but they are part of the Interledger Foundation, and we are quite thankful for them in many roles, not just management roles, like simple dev roles or project management or developers, and we love them, as we like to say.
Mm-hmm. True, true. Sabine, for you, you already got a nomination now.
I like Miss Lissa didn't really have a mentor, like not nobody that had like that batch Sabine's mentor. But when I left the job, I realized, yeah, that person actually took me under their wing and helped me grow. So thank you if you're listening and you think that's you. And then same the other way around. Like it's not like I know you, Joanna, you're part of like a mentorship program for women. I'm not part of that. I probably should be. Like I would love to be. I should seek one out. But I'm like I've been managing for some time now, so I try to like also mentor while I manage, right? So that's like it's part of that role that you also mentor the people that you lead.
Yeah, true. And because you mentioned now that mentoring role, I did not, I didn't, not necessarily not offer, but it was not intended. I was creating this program just to match mentors and mentees, and facilitating this role. One of them was to receive feedback, and I was like, I have time. Let me do the next 3 interviews with the mentors and see what their struggles are and everything. And in that chat with my colleague, now mentee, she was literally, when we closed the call, was like, "Oh, I really enjoyed talking to you. Would you be interested to let's start a new pair of mentoring during this program?" I was like, "Me?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah, sure." I was literally very found that because I felt that comes with great responsibility, but after that I realized that, like you said, it's more like helping them with support, being there, not necessarily, oh my God, I have to have a structured program of mentorship and it's this. No, it was cool. And it's 2 years now going strong and change roles, change situation in life. So it's one of the things that keeps me very anchored in terms of technology and ecosystem. Yeah, it's very cool. I'm very proud now of that relationship that I built.
As you should be. Can I ask a question? I know, Joanna, you were asking the question, but
Oh no, for sure. Go
I
ahead.
just want to ask you guys a question because I'm curious about, have you guys ever actively seeked out a mentor? Like, have you tried to find somebody to help you with something? I've been thinking about it, but I have no idea how I would approach that.
Yeah, I did not. I will be honest that, for example, I would be shy, but this is just my personality. I don't ask many times for things. I do search a lot and try to educate myself. I feel somehow embarrassed to ask for help, which I know is bad. Don't do this. Don't listen to me. This ask for help is very okay. But for example, I was nominated last year in top 100 CTOs to follow or something like that. And starting from that, there were some people approaching me because I'm an engineer manager. I'm no CTO and was mentioned there as title. But there were people reaching out to me to see if I'm interested towards the CTO role and to give me coaching and mentoring for that. I know there are two different roles, two different situations of mentoring and coaching, but that was the time that I was okay for CTO role. I do believe it's very, very good to seek out for these roles. Maybe even try to see who fulfills a role at a particular company or foundation and reach out to them. I think this is what I would suggest to do. If you see someone doing amazing work, man or woman, of course, I would just speak out to that. Yeah, I couldn't become a CTO. We have Alex already, so it's fine. It's fine. I don't need to join now. Next time, next opportunity. But yeah, and I don't want to only be the only one. It's a very good question. How would you try to get a mentor these days? If you have any other input.
Like I said, I've been thinking about it, but have like same thing, not done it. I guess because of imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
I do know one CTO, German lady, that used to be the CTO of IO and has moved on now to yeah. Do you know her, Gertrude Kolb? She's moved on to I think Scout 20, something with 24 in the end. And
Mm-hmm.
I've been thinking about reaching out to her because I've talked to her at their conference,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, she was just very inspiring and has done a fantastic job at both of the companies she's worked at. So I was thinking about it, but I'm like, oh, she probably doesn't remember me. Like this is a little bit
Mm-hmm.
awkward, so I haven't done it. Maybe I should.
Or she doesn't
I
have
think
time, or what?
Yeah, exactly. Like she's this big CTO there. She doesn't have time. But yeah, maybe I should just do it.
I do believe people do remember you, Sabine. You have really good talk there at the conference. And I will try to find it. I won't be able right now online, but after the call to link the talk. And I think half of the talks at ILF are based on your first talk out on ads and how we are not fighting ads, but we're creating a different opportunities for people to use monetization. And it was really well received. So yeah, also you were at their conference. You were a speaker at that conference. I'm going to play now. You're very good. I think you're very important for them. You were important, so they will recognize it. Go ahead. We're going to do a follow-up on this episode later in the year. So if you're not having a, um, I think for me, besides what you mentioned, it's also sometimes this kind of role that okay, maybe I'm not even meant to be that, or maybe I would not be there. Why would I start considering? One of the things that I would like to do is to do it more on the how it's called. I'm having a lag now. When you volunteer or you create, different foundation for stuff, and those are not necessarily for profit for you, but you're being like in a board or trying to help connect some things. That would be like a board for such foundations, and that's good. Not technical, because I know we have a board right now. Again, no one, I'm not going to steal people's role, chill everyone, but creating this kind of philanthropy, that was the word that I was looking earlier. But I will not even know what a board member does for such philanthropist sphere. So I would definitely need to study more and, find mentors to lift you up in such a field where you don't have any tangential role till now. So yeah, tech is easier. Tech sounds easier now. That's all I say. Tech sounds easier now. Oh wow, yeah. Okay, did we went over the representation part? Melissa, you are in US. Did you feel? Subconsciously, I was noting when Timea mentioned her growth that she is from Romania, and Romania statistically has good representation of women in tech, especially at the entry level. It gets a bit blurrier in the leadership roles, higher management roles, but still we have a lot of students, women in technology students versus other countries. So because of our past, we are there with Ukraine, Bulgaria, we do have that. But in US, I think it's a bit more discussed, this topic of representation. Did you feel a bit of a pressure there, or it was okay in your side?
I feel like from what I've heard and what I've read in the US, I feel like my experience has been a bit different than most other women. I got into just tech in general pretty early on. I think my first job, not during high school, but out of high school, was a tech job. And I never felt looked down on. I never felt, no one ever made me feel like I was less because I was a woman. However, I was one of like the only two women there. So, as far as how I was treated personally, I wasn't treated any differently. Like I feel like I had the same opportunities as everyone else. There were just not as many women. And that continued and that continued and that continued until I got into tech writing. And then once I became a writer, it was hard to find men who were tech writers. And now both of my other tech writers are men. So it's like I'm flipping it over on its head. But yeah, I like I said, I've heard and I've read other women's experiences, just having a hard time. And most of my problems have been with customers and not with the organization. It's not been with my coworkers or my managers or anything else. So it seems like maybe that was out of the ordinary. So I feel lucky in that sense.
Yeah, I think I have the best time when I call for support that different things don't work, and I'm treated like you probably don't know any tech in your life. And I was like, yeah, I tried these 7 scenarios. I'm in that one. And they're like, oh, okay, yes. Oh, you're that kind of lady. I was like, yeah, I'm sorry. Oh, that's a funny one. And a good point there to mention is that, like you said, there are different fields or different parts of tech where is the opposite. Like we don't have men, and this I think it's the good balance will be when all the roles are spread equally among all levels or types, and not someone is more towards that, someone is more towards the other field. And yeah, I do think that to ask Sabine, because she's our director now, how she felt that the financial side of things changed the responsibility and leadership here, being in a financial institution or a financial foundation in our side, changed the leadership skills, or if it that did change, how, or if not, then we are safe. I think we're good first. Did you feel that? And because you also had probably among us the longest experience in financial tech.
I don't know if I have the longest experience in financial tech. I have to admit, I didn't really understand the question, Johanna.
No, but no worries. I think you, so I'm not gonna suppose. Probably I'm saying that you have the longest because you also studied around this and you continued
Ah,
your
yeah.
master in this, and so you have a longer experience than me. I changed. I didn't work in fintech before working at ILF. I was doing other tech. I don't know the background of the ladies, but I just assumed that, yeah. And I was thinking if you feel that the financial side of the project that we do brings a different type of leadership to the table or while working with people. I did have a running joke while I was at Mozilla. Sorry for that, people working in browsers. But if somebody was burning when I was going to the office, I was just saying, like, again, very morbid joke. I'm sorry for that. Nobody dies from using browsers. Let's have a coffee first, and after we fix the bug. Like we are not in the medical field. But I do believe financial goes a bit more on the towards serious if things happen, so needs a bit of different leadership. And if you felt it is, how you approach that part.
I get the question now. Thank you for reiterating. Yeah, so before I started working on Interledger and like financial things, I had one other job that was not had nothing to do with
Mm-hmm.
finance. It was like more text
Mm-hmm.
based, but still engineering. So yeah, just like you said, that definitely that didn't have that much urgency, because if we were working on like basically like a search software that would search over a gazillion documents, and if you miss a document, like whatever, it's not going to be the end of the world. Most of the time it's not going to be the end of the world, so that's fine. Whereas where we're at right now, like if something goes wrong with payments, we're in deep trouble. So
Yeah.
there is, I guess, more attention to detail and to accuracy.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're testing or should be testing things more, and make sure that whatever we release is not going to be the financial ruin of a person somewhere in the world. So yeah, maybe that's the difference here, that you have to be a little bit more precise and like do your like release with attention to detail and
Mm-hmm.
double and triple checking things, rather than just being like, yeah, we'll fix it with the next release, like there's going to be a bug fix and fine.
Yeah, I think you mentioned now with the um, credibility a bit or our learning, and we had a discussion this week about trying to understand more law terminology, and we were like struggling there, but I like the approach. We didn't give up, so and I think you had a good result there. So I think we just need to pursue a bit more. Timea, were you about to say something, or I?
Yes, I actually also was struggling with financial meanings and wordings and everything before I started with Interledger. One of my previous jobs had something to do with banks and reporting, but I didn't go into the nitty gritty because I was just doing tech. So I wasn't interested in the other stuff. And now, when I started working with Interledger Foundation, I thought I will do the same, do the tech, not be interested in the financial part of things. But then I started to hear stories, for example, when you go to the summit and you sit down and hear stories about women struggling um,
Mm,
to not be underbanked, to have a stable financial situation. When you hear stories like that, you realize that you kind of have to learn a lot of stuff because what you are doing now might help them in a big way. So for you,
mhm,
learning these things, and it's helpful for you and it's helpful for them. So what Sabina said, we have to be very careful for the details, and the details also include learning financial stuff and fintech, not just techie stuff. So yeah, that's why I realized it's important, because hearing all of the amazing stories at the summits or at just community calls, yeah, all over the Interledger Foundation.
I think we will need to have some stickers with "I'm just tech." That's for the fun, or just like the techie stuff. Uh, I think I feel now responsible to continue educating ourselves in financial, because even if we are not affecting with our projects, we might miss opportunities for this kind of group of people that we are not aware if we will not do a step forward in educating more about. Because yeah, one thing that I learned before joining LF was about the underbanked people, both in Europe or in USA, and I think really almost no one thinks about like how hard is it for other people to get, if you're not in the situation, how hard is it to get a debit card, credit card, or to be banked in the end to have a representation. I do want to give a shout out to Hurji. She's watching us, our former CFO, and we do miss you. It's been super fun to have you around, and I think she was also helping all of us in a way or another with her role when she was also a developer here at Ireland. And I think I want to move to a question for Sarah, because she mentioned that she did not want to join tech. But well, tough life, tech chose you. Did you? Yeah, I was like, yeah, I was good, so good here. I was like, text. I was like, Sarah, come over here. Did you feel that you had to prove your technical side a bit more, or how was the entry and the work for you on this techie field?
I think definitely, because it's definitely changing. But I think for a long time, if you were in a technical field, you were like passionate about it since you were a kid, you know. So you had like all this background knowledge that I did not have. So it felt like, oh, you know, having a degree really wasn't like sufficiently leveling. I still felt like I
Mm-hmm.
was behind. Um, so I definitely did feel like there was a lot of work to upskill. And I mean, like I said, I still feel like that. But I don't think that's a bad thing. And I think one of the things I've learned is just because you don't know everything, well, you know, news alert in tech, you're never going to know everything
Yeah.
because everything is always changing. So that's like, that's not even a good goal. So just like try and know what you think you need to know next to be the most useful. And as long as you keep learning, that's actually what matters. And sometimes
Mm-hmm.
because there's so much to learn, it can feel overwhelming. I think especially when you feel like you're coming in behind, because then you feel like, oh, I've got to learn these things and these things. And like you add to the list and the list just grows. But there's something about realizing like actually it's not about this like cloud. It's just like you choose your channel and everyone's learning and everything's changing. So actually a lot of people are picking up new technologies all the time. Like you kind of should be, right? That's how you learn and you grow. So it's okay to look at something and think, well, I don't know this technology yet. Well, actually, probably, you know, your coworkers with a lot more experience probably also don't know it or didn't know it at some
Mm-hmm.
point. And it's more about how quickly can you learn it and embrace it and like, you know, hit the ground running rather than how much knowledge you already have like stored away in your brain beforehand. So I think that's been like a useful kind of way of framing it better.
Yeah. I have a similar story when people ask me about my first computer, and I have to tell them that I only had it like in high school. And you know, when you're in a group, everyone's like, "Oh, I had it, and I was 5 years old." And I was like, "It was Romania, and I wasn't among the, you know." the richest one. So yeah, it was hard for me to. We were like, oh, you're so yeah. Again, tech chose us. Anyone else having a cool story there with uh
I have
showing
the same
some?
thing. My parents did not believe in tech at all, in computers. Like they were like, do something real. My dad actually wanted me to go into law. My mom wanted me to go into medicine. I
Mm,
could not deal with the human body, so that was a no-go. And law just seemed extremely boring to me. So I was like, no, not going to do that. And like kind of going circle to your first question of like the management one.
mm-hmm,
I actually in high school we did a field trip and we did a like a role play thing there where everybody was supposed to be somebody in like a supply chain. There was a factory and there were other things, and I got the title of like manager of that factory, and I was supposed to manage there. And afterwards I was like, that was actually fun, maybe I should do something with management.
oh,
Yeah, so back in the days I actually did want to do management, and then I was thinking of just like get a degree in business administration, but I was like, that's like
yeah.
every idiot is doing that. I shouldn't do get a degree in. Sorry, not every idiot is doing that, but a lot of people are getting a degree in business administration. I was like, I do want to stick out somehow.
Yeah.
I chose mathematical finance as my
Mm-hmm.
field of studies, and then that got me to like machine learning at some point in my studies, and that actually got me into tech. So I had an assignment, I was supposed to
Mm-hmm.
code something. I was like, this is really cool, like I should do that for a living. And that was like,
Mm-hmm.
I think like almost the last or second to last semester of my master's degree. So I was already like quite through a lot of studies and not really time to pivot anymore. My parents were on my back, like, get this degree and like get working, girl. So yeah, I then learned on the job, and
Mm-hmm.
got a student job as a code monkey, really.
Yeah.
And yeah, so no computer ever at, like, not no computer ever, but late, very late we had a computer.
And how you describe your role now to your parents? Do they accept that now? That is something serious? It's okay?
They do. They accept that now. My mom actually apologized and was like, sorry, we kept you away from the computer. You really seem to enjoy that. But I was like,
You're
Mom, it's
also
fine.
good at it. You're also good.
But yeah, it's hard to explain to them. Like, I guess now it's easier because I'm just manage people. They understand that.
Uh-huh.
But when
That's
I was
true.
actually still
Yeah.
doing coding, they were like, we have no idea what you're doing. At
Yeah,
some point,
same.
I was also for a little while like working on blockchain technology, and I tried to explain that to them. It was like then I explained hash function. I was like, okay, Mom, hash function. You have a chicken and you make chicken nuggets out of it, but you cannot go back and make a chicken out of the chicken nuggets. So that's kind of like a hash function. And she still is like, Sabrina, there's something where like chicken nuggets.
That is the oh my God, that's the best. I don't know, something with chicken online, I guess.
Are you getting some notes here, Melissa, for the docs to help explain these
Yes.
things?
I'm thinking Sabine's mom thinks she works at McDonald's now. She's like,
She will be asking, when are my chicken nuggets ready today? Yeah, no, the same. My mom says like something to do with computers. Probably like you said, now managing people, they can relate to that more like that. And but it's also for them very confusing why I travel at conference to speak. And I was like, and she's like, what are you talking about? I was like, different types of they're so like and I think that in a way like you're speaking so well that they pay you to go you there, like pay you like for your trip. And I, yes, ma'am, the conference and call me. They from like all. She's like, yeah, I don't understand. How did you find it? I was like, I'm kind of there. Sometimes it's like something, only something online. That's something there with computer. I think this is very different for them because they see all the time I'm with a computer. I think the best part is when I said that I'm in a meeting and I was half Romanian, half English, and I use meeting, which in Romanian would mean that I'm protesting, going on the street, protesting. That's a meeting. And my mom was like, "Why are you protesting?" I was like, "Oh no, it's just I have this call with people." I was like, oh my God, you're scared me. I was like, "Oh, stop." Yes, it's me and the computer most of the time. Yeah. for them it's like, especially now we are all full remotely here in the Interledger Foundation. She doesn't know, or I mean, she met sometimes our colleagues from Cluj because they came to pick me up from the airport and all. But like all your colleagues are all around you. Don't go at all into an office. These random people around you. Yeah, they are very random people. We meet them a couple of times a year, but like other than that, yeah, that's the new roles. I think like Sarah said earlier, things change so much. We just have to embrace the change is a constant thing. And I'm not even going to AI field that brings different things and different parameters to the table of changing. So yes, we will start with different learning stuff all the time, like either a new framework or new terminology, and we will be fine. I think we are strong enough to survive this. Oh, I don't want to put the call into a more sad, not at all. I think it's not. It's a celebration now. Going into establishing authority, or feeling like you have to prove technical part. I was earlier trying to see if any of you have a different story, or that you felt that you need to prove more, or if not, that's a really good point there, a really good experience. I would say that no, nah, that's good. Sarah, don't be sad or anything. I think it's good that we didn't have to do some time. And um, to mention this, another field that we create more work for women, it's all these like women empower other women, and you have to prove sometimes. And I think I had the burst once, and I said like I really don't want to prove myself. I don't want to empower anything. I just want to be exactly like a man, doing the same thing and be at the same level, like recognized, not to do extra work all the time to show results, to sometimes you present. And I know I just asked you to join this call, but sometimes it's just good to be yourself and not to feel that you need to do extra. It's a bit of a heavy thing that we carry sometimes in our back. And now that we mentioned the heavy carry, do you have advice for the young women that will start engineering, or we should all run away from tech? Because
No,
I feel that lately is this trend, like we should just go analog, people, and raise some chickens for the chicken nuggets in the countryside.
yeah,
Disclaimer,
you
Sabine already
Raise
has
some
a house.
chickens
I
for
think,
Sabina.
Sabine, do you have also chicken in the courtyard?
Not yet. The plan is to have chickens in the future.
That she knows. This actually is the direction. She knows the chicken nugget need the chicken first. Yeah. So what would you advise young ladies joining technology fields?
I know you just said we shouldn't talk about AI, but honestly, with AI where it is right now, I don't know what advice to give everyone. I think it's exciting and scary and confusing and unknown. But I mean, that is also just the world in general, always. So, that's not a reason not to do something, but it does feel like it's very hard to give advice, and it feels like things are changing even more quickly than usual. And I don't know, I'm still on the fence about whether AI is here to stay or if it is a fad that's going to be here and then gone. I do think while it's here, it is an amazing tool for learning. And I think, when you talk about women suffering from imposter syndrome, it's like AI is just a really great place to ask all your stupid questions in as much excruciating detail as you want. And I found that it was not only helpful, but like surprisingly companionable. It's like me asking my questions. Felt like I'm chatting away, and like it's a nice way to work. I prefer chatting to my AI than having like a code extension in my browser. So I think it's like more conversational, but it's an amazing place to learn. But I mean, it's this huge financial investment and this huge energy investment and power. And so I don't know if it's gonna stay or if they're just gonna get all of us hooked to the point of no return and then just yank prices up insanely, or what's gonna happen. Because I think it does change what it looks like to develop. And that could change in so many different directions. But I would say, ultimately, if you are learning and you're building stuff and you're understanding what you're building and you're asking questions about it and taking chances, that's the best anybody can ever do.
Really well said. I would even emphasize that they should learn, or they should, from this relation that they be, like you said, without being judged or feeling judged by the AI, hopefully. Because I feel like we can also ask them, like, don't be judgy with me. Exactly how they are fearless in asking something for AI, they should embrace this fearless in the real world too. After exactly that, it's normal to ask question. It's normal to try to understand something better. I think maybe we were raised a bit different, that better do it individually, and now we are breaking those stereotypes. And it's fine to ask, it's good to ask, it's even better to be proactive in asking things ahead of time and not be blocked by them. So I think you had a good parallel there, that helps a lot with imposter syndrome, and that hopefully will help the next generations. I don't know if it stays or goes. I would say it stays, but I'm like with you there. Is it worth it, the consumption? Are we losing the humanity a bit? Those are very different fields there.
Yes, and I feel like the younger generation might be more vocal than we were. So I think they shouldn't be afraid to ask questions. I think they are not. So that's good. And regarding AI, AI should be a companion in learning, as Sarah said, and not a replacement for a lot of things. Because even if the present is easier and quicker with replacing everything with AI, in the future, in your future, the junior developers' future, it will be way worse. So for sure, companion learning, so you know something in the future as well. Not replace everything, your knowledge, and not continue with developing just AI everywhere. Yeah, and so communication, languages, and yeah, fearlessness. A lot of times fearlessness, because there is a space and a place for young developers still
Yeah,
today.
that's true. I agree.
And it's our job to create that environment that they are willing to ask questions and be creative and challenge things, because that's how we as an organization are going to grow if we invite new people to share their perspective. So it's crucial that we actually create this environment. And like to the young ladies out there, I actually always found it very, very nice to work with just men, because there's just so much less drama. I had one job, like an intern job at a bank, where were more women there than men, and there was always drama. And then my first tech role was like, huh, this could be so nice. Like, I always thought professional life is going to be drama, but this is like very relaxed, and the guys are just so much easier to deal with. That was at least my experience.
Yeah, that's I mean, that our own spaces are normalized with what we believe, because we don't have any other experience but other than our own. The first time when I questioned this is when I attended the conference in US, where that was the topic, and I was literally, yeah, that doesn't affect me. I was like, in Romania there are a lot of women in tech, but it doesn't affect me, because I didn't have the knowledge. And yeah, you grow after and you see that maybe opportunities are not equal, but those are very nitpicking. You have to understand that there is a problem there before, and to realize that, yeah, maybe you are in the situation. And I agree that we are the ones that need to create these spaces for them. And I love that they are do ask questions, and don't ask for permission that much. I think one of the questions earlier I wanted to ask is that you felt you need to ask for permission, but I know all of you from here, you kind of just go for it and you don't wait for like the blessing there. So I skipped that over. Melissa, would you have anything to share on that, or?
No, I don't, I don't. So,
No, but it was a lot said. It was
yeah,
a lot of sense.
maybe this is going back to the imposter syndrome, but like, I don't feel like I've ever really worked in engineering. I worked with engineering, and
Oh.
I used to dabble in code. It's not like I'm completely oblivious to what's going on, but I've been focused on the writing bit so much that it's very easy to forget like what the intent behind writing even is. And even if it feels like you're not building something in like the traditional engineering development way, like we're still building things. It's just a little bit different.
That's a very interesting perspective that you're not in tech, you're working with tech. That would make me think a bit. Never thought, yeah. But we did mention a lot of the advices, but what are the advices for the tech company? And especially because we have moms here, what are some policies or some things that the tech can create to support more women in tech that you felt helped you, if there was anything that helped you?
My previous manager before Sabina was my manager when I was working in Rafiki was like, oh, you're going to have this new manager and it's so great because she's a woman. And I was like, much like Sabina's sentiment, like I've never had a problem working with men. So it was like, man, woman, like, either or, like, I don't really see that as like a pro or a con. It's just a fact. But then, it was kind of when I was pregnant and I went on maternity leave, and then I was like, oh, okay, it is actually really nice having someone who understands that space. And, definitely I think having kind of the space to have like proper maternity leave and like take time to have that transition and bond with my kid and all the rest was like enormously helpful for me. And then also coming back into a situation where, in development, you've got your flexible hours, which is like a huge win. And then, also potentially like don't have to work like full day. There can be some flexibility around that. And I mean, that's just been like a game changer for me. So working with people who understand that and who care about that, and that doesn't have to be women, but the advantage if you are working with someone who has gone through it and understands firsthand, like obviously there's a lot more that you don't have to kind of spell out or explain. And that was really amazing. Thank you.
And I think we're lucky enough to work at an organization that actually cares about these things. So when our parental leave policy was drafted, like Sarah and I were put into the room and where I asked, like, what do you guys need? Like, what should we put into this policy? So this was just like, ask the people that are going to be impacted, and actually also ask the dads, because I'm a big fan of like also giving the dads the opportunity to bond with their children. It should not just be the moms, it should also be the dads. But I was like, I live in Germany. It's a country where there is a lot of like support, not the like it's not the best in the world, but comparatively a lot of support for parents, young parents. So I would have been covered on the legal side anyways, but it was it's very nice that the organization as a whole was like let's just copy that model, and that's like our policy for the org. So ask the people that are impacted, and then you will get the best results.
And I truly agree with this, because we might be supported by the law, but nobody really wants to be in a position that they have to impose the law or come back. And when you feel like no matter what the law says, you're supported, you feel like, okay, they have my back, I'm good here, and the same, like you said, for me, this is why ILF is well represented. We have a lot of women in leadership. We have a woman in almost overall. So I don't feel like it's anything special. It's just a really good place for us to work here. And we get the support. Like we said, we created the space, and you led the policies there to create more space, more benefits, to give chances. And I think, as Sarah mentioning, the flexibility of, something happens, you can step in to be with your family, and you come later to, if something was burning at work, to continue fixing without being, oh my God, Sarah was out, or like Sabine was out. Like there's no even a thought of that whenever it happened. And I was thinking that it was so good that you had time and you also were able to enjoy the time, that you came back happy and tell us that we know your little ones, we know the names, and we find out from time to time what they're doing. And it just feel okay with you. Don't have to feel like, oh my God, I cannot speak about it. I should not. So it's very, hopefully, a safe environment like we feel it now. And we also do the furry kids, Melissa. I was waiting for you to mention the cat, but just saying. And just so you know, for the public record, I learned about iguanas in Florida, and now I'm not sure if Melissa has a cat only or has a pet iguana that hibernated during winter. This was my learning in this room. If you're very confused, I'll let you know later, but just look iguanas in Florida, you will see pets very different. So
They
for
fall from
those
trees.
applications,
That's
yes,
the
you
headline.
just
They
and you
fall from
just pick
trees.
them. Yeah, they fall from trees, you just pick them and move them because they are hibernating. So when that things happen in your background, of course you need some flexible how to go and deal with that and not just explain to your manager what's happening with the iguana there. Yeah. I agree. And on the serious note, when I was helping with women in tech, I thought it was really a nice gesture that for some of the meetups we had spaces for dads and kids or moms and kids in case, especially when you have really young kids, they might need, or the other parent partner would not feel that safe if you're like an hour away in the city somewhere and they will just join and be there to play in case something happened. You're like 2 minutes away or 1 minute across another room. And I think in general, just consider it, like Sabine mentioned, putting the people that need those policies in building the policies. And it's not only about parents in tech, it's just the best way to create some good environment, safe environment for everyone to grow. I think we're on the clock there, and I know I only asked for 1 hour from you, and like, Yana, time. Um, any other sharing that you want to add in the closing? Or
A
we're
small thing for my side, we were talking about space for new developers. I'm actually going to mentor a junior, two juniors, but one of them is a female and another one is a man. And I will be mentoring with my team, of course, both of them. So I'm very happy to be receiving another female character into the folds of Interledger. Hopefully, will do great. So who knows? Maybe in 1 year's time, you will see her in Off the Ledger episode. So fingers crossed, everyone, that everything goes as planned.
yes, and she was very excited to tell me about this today, indeed, and giving back and giving it forward is really nice. Thanks for sharing that. We should do an of the ledger with the younger ones joining. Sabine, don't even know because you already have another one coming with Alex. I don't know when, but we are gonna do it then because I do have the questions ready for that. Maybe not
We'll
the
do
next
it.
one, but later on, later on. But thank you so much for joining me. I do hope that you get a bit of celebration this month, and we will come back with other episodes of the Ledger. If you have any ideas that you want to hear us talk about, uh, let us know. If not, I'll see you in probably less than a month with a new one. Thanks so much for joining me, and see you online. See you all online.
Thank
Thank
you.
you
Thanks.
Thank
for
you so
having
much
Bye.
for
us.
having me.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.